Hi there, and welcome back to the Art of Creative Business. Today, I want to talk to you about something that comes up often, both in sessions with clients and in quieter conversations with friends who are also building businesses. It's this unexpected expectation many of us carry to always be nice. You know what I mean? The idea that we should be easy to work with, generous with our time, accommodating, and polite, that we shouldn't upset anyone or say anything that might cause friction. And if that's something you recognize in yourself, if you've been praised for being lovely, for being helpful, for never making things difficult, you're not alone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being kind or considerate. Those are beautiful qualities. But sometimes what gets labeled as nice is actually something else. A habit of ignoring your own needs, a reluctance to say what you really think, a fear of disappointing someone, even when saying yes doesn't feel quite right. I see this a lot in creative business owners who are deeply sensitive and tuned into the people around them. You're probably someone who wants things to go smoothly. You care, you listen, you want people to feel comfortable and valued. But over time, this way of being, always scanning for what others need, always trying to keep everyone happy, can start to wear you down. You might find yourself saying yes when you're actually already stretched quite thin. You might notice a quiet frustration building because your days are filled with obligations that don't really light you up. And you might start feeling disconnected from the work you actually want to be doing because you're constantly reacting to other people's needs instead of tuning into your own. And here's the thing, it's not sustainable. It's simply not possible to please everyone, and trying to do so will eventually cost you something: your time, your energy, and your clarity. I'm not saying you should become hard or inflexible, but I'm saying that you need space to figure out what matters to you and to honor that. It starts with getting clear on what feels like a genuine yes for you and what you might need to say no to. That clarity gives you something to stand on, a solid base from which to make decisions. Now, making decisions based on your own instincts, your own gut feeling, is easier said than done, especially if that inner compass has been dulled over time. And for many women, it has been. From a young age, we're taught to be accommodating, to take other people's feelings into account, to make sure no one is upset. And again, there's nothing wrong with being thoughtful. That kind of awareness can be a real strength. But it needs to be balanced with self awareness too. You need to know what you want, what feels right for you, and what doesn't. That way, you can respond thoughtfully to a situation rather than being pulled off course by other people's expectations or opinions. And when you start to tune back into what's right for you, things begin to shift. You might find yourself saying yes to projects that excite you again. You might start setting clearer boundaries, not because you want to push people away, but because you want to protect the time and energy that matters. And often, surprisingly, people respond well to that. They know where they stand with you. They trust your yes because they know you're not saying it out of obligation. Of course, none of this happens overnight. If you're someone who's used to saying yes to everything, the idea of setting a boundary or having a difficult conversation can feel quite daunting. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can start small. Be gentle with yourself as you begin. Even just reflecting on this is something worth acknowledging. You might try to practice this with someone you trust, saying no in low stakes situations, or even just naming that you're trying to be more honest about your capacity. You can ask a friend to help you role play a tricky conversation if that feels helpful. Sometimes just saying the words out loud can make them feel less intimidating. And if this is something you're working on or you want to explore more deeply, you're not on your own. This is exactly the kind of thing I support my clients with. There's no need to figure it out in isolation. Before I close, I want to leave you with a thought from Elizabeth Gilbert, who once said that women often end their sentences with, "if that's okay with everyone." It struck a chord with me because it's such a common habit. Checking, softening, making sure we haven't upset anyone. But what if you didn't do that? What if you simply said what you need? What if you gave yourself permission to disappoint someone now and then, trusting that they can handle it, just as you've handled disappointment yourself? I love that I've learned how to say no to people, she writes, and to understand that they will survive their disappointment just as I can survive my disappointment when people say no to me. So maybe just sit with that today. What might shift for you if you let go of the need to be nice and instead started being clear, grounded, and kind to yourself? Thanks so much for listening.